there's been a lot of evolution, on the internet. Obviously, everybody knows that. And what happens with the blogs is the blogs used to be a strictly organic thing. The people that went to your blog were going straight to they were typing in babalooblog.com and hitting return, right? Or they were saved as a bookmark. And back in those days, 80% of our traffic was direct traffic. The other 20% was Google search, or someone had posted one of our articles and linked it back to us. And fledgling social media. As social media started dominating the whole entire internet, we started seeing that number invert, and it went from 80% direct traffic to Babalu to down to 20, 30, at most 40% direct traffic, and the rest coming from social media, because people started looking at social media as the place to go, and then the hub, and then from that hub they would click to whatever article they wanted to read. So as we saw that happening, we took advantage of it, and we got a page on Facebook, we got a Twitter feed going, Instagram I can't figure out. I no le veo la gracia. I know it's you have big reach, but I can't. I look at it and it's like,
it's tough.
I don't know what to do here.
Yeah,
so
especially for content. Especially for content like what's on Babalu, because you're asking people to move from this very quick scroll, tap.
We're not pictures and we're not taking Babalu is not what we had for dinner last night or taking selfies at the beach. So I really don't see how. I'm sure there's a way, but I haven't been able to figure it out. But Facebook became, like the gatekeeper. And back in 2018, Facebook decided we were getting a little too much traffic.
Okay.
And they shadow banned us mid-May 2018. I can't tell you the exact date. I know it's mid-May because I still saved the graph. Facebook gave you these insight tools where you could see your traffic coming in. And I remember seeing all this traffic, and then that around the middle of May in 2018, it just dropped by 2/3.
So this is an interesting
impressions.
Yeah. So the shadow ban is a thing that's thrown around a lot, and at least in the instances where I hear it referenced and then look into it, it ends up being a lot of people referring to a lot of different things with different levels of confirmation and evidence and whatever. So unpack that a little more.
Sure. When I say shadow ban, this is the way I look at it. Our blog, our website automatically, whenever an article gets posted, it automatically gets posted onto, the Babalú Blog Facebook page. Yeah. And what I started seeing was you would see an article, and as the admin on that page, I see the impressions, how many people it's reached. So I used to go in, check it, and a post had been up for an hour, you'd have 150, 200 people reached. Yeah. From, at that time we had about 3,600 followers. That's another thing. But we had about 3,600 followers on the page. And you'd see in about an hour, you get 100, 150 impressions. Then one day, all of a sudden, I see a post had been up in an hour and it had 14 impressions.
Sure, yeah.
How can, I go, well, maybe the post is boring. You know, maybe this is something that people aren't really interested in. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. And I started seeing that number. And that's when I went to the insight part of the page, and I noticed that big drop off that came, because there was also, along with that big drop off, was a big drop off in traffic to the website, because less people see it, less people are clicking on the link to read the article. Right. So for me, the shadow banning, what it means, in my head, in my definition, is that Facebook was throttling how many people would see that actual post. Okay. So you asked, of course, we asked, got zero answer. Right. So one of our admin on the website, Henry Gomez, who was also the editor before I was, he said, maybe it's what they want is, they want us to pay. So, we got a little bit of money in the till. Let's do it. Even with paying, I would never be able to get the impressions that we used to get organically.
Yeah.
So we tried it. Let's take a couple of articles that we know, this is, let's do an article on how the Miami Cuban sandwich is the best and that Tampa's Cuban sandwich is a heresy.
Right.
That's guaranteed,
just the Miami traffic alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do that and let's promote it. 50, 60 impressions.
Sure, yeah.
So you can see that it's sort of, there's something going on there. We're not entirely sure. Maybe the fact that we're constantly blasting communism and socialism and things of that nature probably puts us in a category that, they don't want to promote. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder whether it could be something, for lack of a better word, like more innocent. Like maybe there's something about the kind of like keywords that they are trying to push or types of engagement that they prefer. Like as an example, I know ever since they started prioritizing their own native video stuff, the links to YouTube videos don't perform quite as well because they want all that inside and they want to keep ad dollars or whatever. But it could also. I mean,
I don't want to assign because we're a little tiny speck,
right.
So I don't think like someone in Facebook
they've got somebody assigned to the Babalu.
I'm going to get those Babalu, right-winger Cuban Americans.
Yeah, Zuckerberg gets his Babalu brief every day.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think they just they're suppressing highly political.
Sure.
Posts that go in a certain, because I see a lot of highly political things in the other direction, but I don't think it's like we were specifically targeted. I think we set off a lot of things on their algorithm.
Sure. Yeah.
And probably ended up getting us some type of shadow ban, some suppression of our impressions, and so, but it is what it is. There's really, there's really nothing that we can do about it. And I'll give you a perfect example. When this whole COVID thing happened, started, we're posting an article about COVID cases and deaths in Cuba, an actual news. This is not talking about, COVID is a hoax or, nothing like that. We're just, and immediately you would get, Facebook would give us a warning. You're talking about COVID. Make sure you have no misinformation on there. It's a news.
Right.
And sure enough, any article that mentions COVID is highly suppressed.
Yeah.
So, I stopped talking about COVID because, for a while there, that's all, all the news that's going out had to do with COVID.
Right.
And if you just mention it, and I guess you're not on their whitelist of websites that can talk about it,
right,
you're suppressed.
Yeah, there was an example, not COVID. Well, I guess you can draw a line, a loose line to COVID, but I don't know if you saw any of Reason's posting and reporting about the homemade baby formula posts.
Yeah, well, I heard that they were getting
so there was like a picture of an old homemade baby formula recipe. In case somebody's listening to this in the year 2030, at the time we're recording this, there's a baby formula shortage. So Reason magazine writes a thing about that Facebook, putting warnings and what have you. And then Reason starts putting similar warnings, or Facebook starts putting similar warnings on Reason's reporting of the warnings. So it gets to the point that some of it feels so automated that it's sort of a catch-22, right? And if you're being charitable to Facebook, it's like, okay, even if you agree with the goals that they're setting, it's goals that it takes a human to understand the goal and to implement and try to achieve them in any way that makes any kind of sense. Because otherwise, you end up suppressing, and putting warnings on and blurring out stories about stories about stories.